Right. Alright then, welcome back. And good evening for another round of Revolution Tier 3 Season 13. And we arrive at round 2 at Interlagos. It's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Round 2 of 15 of this season. And tonight we've got this beautiful track ahead of us. And would you look at that? Would you look at this site? It's a site we have seen before in Tier 3. It's wet. It's wet, guys. It's pouring it down here in Interlagos, at least for qualifying. I don't know what the race is like, but man, it rains so often in Tier 3. I don't know what it is, but it is just such a common occurrence that it's a wet race or wet weather qualifying. Either way, that is how we are going to start off this qualifying session in what looks like full wet conditions. We wait until the time runs out in around a minute's time. I'm not sure if everyone has seen the weather yet. Probably they're still in a black screen, so it's going to be a nice surprise for those who aren't watching the stream, but those who are will know by now that it is full wet conditions. So 18 minutes of qualifying session. We've got a full grid, which is incredible to see. So we've got Sly DJ, Balabot and Lennon's Jesus is returning. Finally, the two-time world champion. Good to have him back. Missed out in round 1, but he's certainly not missing out on this one. So let's see what the former champion can do tonight. A wet Interlagos. Next year is back after making his debut last week at Melbourne. Melbourne actually was a wet race as well, wasn't it? So we've got back-to-back wet races. Which that is quite interesting. Alpha World Dark Assassin. Dark Assassin made a good impression on his first race as well. It's a bit unlucky with a few moments, but certainly had the pace. Zelix was one of the pace setters as well early on in qualifying, but couldn't quite convert it into a very good result in the race. Finished down in P14, I think was the last of the finishers. And Sui and Ozan both in the Red Bulls. Godzilla making his debut tonight in the Alpine. CRBT as well in the Sauber Frobby. Harry Toursteri, Crim Sonic, Easy Game also making his debut. Shark and Overdue. That is a grid for tonight. And good to see you, Nate. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are having a wonderful evening as we ride on board there momentarily with Overdue Brett. And look at the times he is struggling in these conditions. I think I saw some drivers on the intermediates as he slightly touched the grass there. There are some on the intermediate. Balabon is the only one out there. Intermediate is incorrect. His team for this race. Both Aston Martins have gone for the intermediates. Let's see how that is going to unfold for them. Because at the moment, these conditions look quite treacherous. So, first one to start his lap. Godzilla reserved in Tier 3 yesterday. Alright, my bad then. It's first race in Tier 3 then. Let's put it like that. I think he... never mind. Anyway. Sly DJ is out there. So is Balabotan. I think Balabotan is the first one to start his flying lap. Or is he? Ozan is there in the Red Bull. Yes, he's already passed Sector 1. I'm not entirely sure what the lap times are going to be. I would assume that the conditions will be changing throughout this qualifying session, so might get a little bit better at the end of the session, but it's very important to get your first lap time in around quite a tricky track in the dry, especially through this middle sector, very technical part of the track. A lot of sweeping corners, and in the wet it is even more difficult, especially this corner, which is already tricky enough on tire wear in the race in the dry, but in the wets it's even more difficult to try and find the right amount and the right time to put the throttle down. Purple second sector though for Ozan. Tier 2 pole at 20.8. I would assume that was in wet conditions as well. Of course, rain can be different in severity, as Ozan sets a 123.2 as his banker lap. But let's see what Balabotan can do. He is on the intermediates, so is he going to be anywhere near that time as Harry goes quickest by 1.5 tenths ahead of the Red Bull. Frobby in P3, and Balabotan goes quicker by 7.5 tenths, and his teammate is right behind. So already looks like the intermediates are the tire you want to be on, because both Aston Martins have just gone first and second by quite a distance to the cars behind, 6-7 tenths to be precise, as more drivers start to set their lap times. Lennon's in the McLaren made a great comeback drive last week at Melbourne. Easy Game has gone quickest, making his debut, and he's on the wets, and he's done a 22.1. So that is a very good first lap time indeed. But speaking of Lennon's, I was talking about a great comeback drive from last, I believe for 18th on the grid. He finished second in the end and missed out on the race win by, I think it was only like a second and a half in a wet-weathered Australian Grand Prix. He is going to cross the line for a 23.0. Puts him right behind Trusteri by 4 100ths of a second. And Jesus, he is taking it careful on the full wets. We know Jesus, he's not usually the one to take big risks, especially not in qualifying. He always makes up for it though in the races, as Kai has gone P4 to make it a V-Carb and Aston Martin 1, 2, 3, 4. But Easy Game's on the wets, and those three behind him are on the intermediates. Jesus then, his first lap time of the season will be a 24.3, slowest of the ones who have set a lap time so far. What about Alpha Hype Waldo, who had a very unlucky moment on the opening lap last week, but with this lap time he is going to put it on P2 on the front row, just under a tenth of a second behind Easy Game. Now if Easy Game does get pole position tonight and potentially wins the race, I would assume he will get moved up, because he is a reserve driver, he is making his debut, so you never quite know where you can put someone in the tiers. So hopefully he's not going to be way ahead of the rest of the field, as Lennon's, with a good improvement on his full wets, gets very close to the time of the RB. A few drivers out there who just still need to complete their flying laps. One of them just went across the line, and I think it was Overdue Brad. Yeah, he crossed the line to go up to P10, just behind Harry in the Sauber, who showed some good pace as well last week. Sui in the Red Bull goes up to 7th place, and Frobby has gone up to P9, as Jesus with his second lap, much better, P12, as Nexter goes quickest in the Aston Martin, 121.5, which indicates that the track might be getting better. But Easy Games beats that immediately with it 120.9. So once again going quicker on the wet, 6 tenths of a second again, and that is almost already beating the tier 2 pole time, which was also in wet weather conditions. As Godzilla, he's gone to P3, Trusteri, he's gone to P4, and Lennon's now to the front row again, 21.4, with a half a second behind the RB reserve driver. Gonna beat the first lap time on the board, and it's not a bad banker lap, P7. right behind Alpha Hypo, who is on an improvement, only slightly by 0.03 of a second through sector 1. But the real time you can gain through the second sector, but sliding around there on the entry of turn 10. As Kai has gone to P4, almost 0.2 of a second improvement for Alpha Hypo. If you look at the gaps, well, he might get him up to P4, but not much further than that. Flat out to the finish line. And it does get him up to P4. Just over 1 second behind Easy Game's time. And his teammate then, Godzilla, out by 3.5 through the middle sector. And he might just beat out on his teammate. Shark goes up to P6. Godzilla now goes up to P4. Ahead of his teammate. Ozone on the Cooper improvement 1.3 seconds up. Well, he needs to improve. He's down on P18 by 2.3 seconds. But there he goes up to P4 on the intermediate. So I'm not quite sure which car is actually the fastest right now. Because Lennon's and Easy Game, they're throwing me off. Because behind them are a lot of intermediate runners. The majority of the wets are at the back of the field. So I would say that the intermediates are probably the fastest tire, but the difference really is not that significant between them. As Nextra once again improving, so is Easy Game on the full wets. It's really hard to tell which tire to be on. 2.5 should be able to get him onto the front row again, ahead of Lennon's. And he does with a good final sector as well. But it looks like we're gonna get a new fastest lap time. Harry goes up to P3 in the Sauber. Put on a brand new set of intermediates, 120.6. Puts Easy Game 6/10 clear of anyone else. Lots of improvements, lap after lap after lap, as Godzilla, with a slight improvement, beats out Ozone. It's just getting those laps in. You can do multiple laps on a set of intermediates or a set of full wets without them coming slower. As Grim Sonic now goes up to P5. But the gap between Easy Game and the cars behind is quite significant. Is anyone going to be able to get close to that time? Zelix, only driver without a lap time so far. Let's see if he can keep it within the white lines on this particular lap. He's right on board with the Mercedes through turns 1 and 2, the center S's. And then accelerating out of turn 3, bit wide there. He's trying to find some grip out there. There barely is any. And onto what is a DRS straight, but not of course in these conditions. At the end of sector 1. To a very tricky left-hander, where you can very easily run out wide. And then a flat out kink of turn 5, and now we go into the technical part of the lap. Turn 6, uphill. Can really catch you out in the race with understeer and dirty air to the cars in front. Then we get into a set of, well, you can sort of call them hairpins. They're not entirely hairpins, but they are a set of very slow corners. Turns 8, 9 and 10. Then accelerating out to turn 11. And onto the final braking zone of this track, as the rear sliding out. And the rest of it is pretty much flat out, even in these conditions. Turns 14 and 15 to flat out kinks, which mark the end of this final lap. It's going to be the first lap on the board for Zelix. Puts him right in P16. Number 1 fan over here. Always good to have your fans in the chat. Michael supporting Connor, who is making his debut tonight. He's done a decent job so far. In P11 on I think it was only his first lap. As Frobby has gone up to P13. As we see more drivers out there putting on a set of intermediates, including Lennon's. Godzilla in the meantime, he's gone up the front row and he is improving once more, but he's pulling back into the pit lane. with just over 5 minutes remaining. And Ozone is going to pull into the pit lane as well. Alpha Hype World just going to be 11. Not really where he wants to be so far in this qualifying session. And neither are the Mercedes boys, down in P16 and 17. But Shark is improving by 3.5 tenths through sector 1. He's put on a brand new set of intermediates, runs out slightly wide through turn 4. And unfortunately invalidates his final flying lap as Dark Assassin down in P20, but is improving by 1 second already through the first sector. He has also put on a brand new set of intermediates, sliding his way through turn 11. 1.6 seconds up. He was quick in the wet last week at Melbourne, and he's certainly looking quick right now as well at Interlagos. Could he potentially get himself onto the front row with a really good final sector? Let's find out as the Ferrari driver crosses the line and he goes up to P3. Just misses out to the front row, but a very good lap indeed with still 4 minutes to go. What about Lennon's then? His first lap time on intermediates. He's also up by almost 7 tenths of a second, and actually that might put it spread to Easy Game's lap time. But alright, I can imagine that Easy Game, yeah, he's gone out on the intermediate. We'll keep an eye out on what his lap time will be in a moment's time. The McLaren driver of Lennon's crosses the line, and it's not just you misses out by 2 tenths of a second. Surprising there, didn't really gain much time in the final sector. And then we look at the RB through sector 1, already 3 tenths of a second up. And it's only going to get more throughout this lap. As one of the Haas drivers has gone off in the background to Sterry on his slow down lap, his cool down, trying to get out of the way of anyone else, but Easy Game through turn 10. You can definitely tell that the rain is getting lighter as Bello Boton has gone up to second place at 1.1 seconds up as Conor Beatty has gone quickest, 1:20.3 in the Kick Sauber. But I think that lap time will be beaten in around 5 seconds time, because Easy Game is going to cross the line and potentially go into the 119s. Absolutely is going to go into the 119s, 1:19.404. And Lennon's now goes back to second place. We're getting into the final runs of qualifying. And everyone is out there, putting in lap after lap after lap, trying to improve. Sly DJ goes up to P5. Crimsonic up to P4, good improvement as well. Everyone out on track apart from Dark Assassin. I don't think he's going back out yet, or he is actually. I think he's just going out of the pit lane, so he can only do one more lap in this qualifying session. Jesus, then up to P5. That's more like it from the two-time world champion. Balaboton is going to start potentially his final flying lap. Shark is going to do the same thing. Yes, 1 minute to go. These are the final laps. Gonna be back into the pit lane. He will not improve from his third position. Let's see where he's gonna end up as Ozan goes up to P3. Godzilla up by 8 tenths of a second. Where's that gonna put him as she crosses the line? P2 on the front row. Easy Game couldn't improve on his previous lap, but he is gonna try one more time to extend his advantage at the top of the field. So he's out of qualifying currently down in P13. As Nexter has gone up to P3. It's really hard to keep track of where everyone is. Crimsonic, not an improvement. Dark Assassin is going to start his final flying lap. Overdue Brad shoots up to P7. And the flag has fallen. Harry is the first one to take it. He goes up to P4. But what about everyone else behind him? Jesus to the front row, misses out by 4/10 of a second. Good qualifying performance so far as Kai goes to P10. Balabotan up to P5. Easy Game is up by 3/10 of a second. Alpha Hype Wall now onto the second row, just behind Jesus. Alpha Hype Wall, the man with the most starts in Tier 3. He's currently inside the top 3. Can Easy Game improve? Lennons goes quickest, 119.3. Can Easy Game beat that lap time? Yes, he can, 118.9. And the only driver to go into the 118s. What about Godzilla? He goes up to P3. And now Nexer is up next, down in P6, up by 2/10 of a second. Still drivers out there improving. Twisteri is going to cross the line now to go up to P3. Great improvement for him as well. Then we look at Zelix. He stays P20. As Nexer improves his time, not his position. Overdue Brad has made a mistake. He is not improving. Crimsonic then, the last one potentially to improve. Dark Assassin goes P5. Crimsonic goes just ahead. 2 Ferraris on the third row in P5 and P6. And Overdue Brad is the last one to take the flag in P16. But it means that Easy Game is on pole position on debut here in Tier 3 tonight. By 3.5/10 towards Lennons in P2. Twisteri, great performance as well for him in P3. Godzilla in P4 to round out the second row. Crimsonic in P5 with his team in Dark Assassin in P6. Jesus P7, Alpha 5 Ball 8. 2 Aston Martins of Nexter and Bellaboat P9 and P10. Harry in P11 out of Ozon. Gonna be the P13. Frobby in P14. And it's Shark, Overdue Brad, Kai, Sly DJ, Sui, and Zelix, the only one who couldn't set a lap time or a valid lap time on the intermediates. And he will start this race down in P20. Which means we can now prepare ourselves for the main event, the Grand Prix. And I do wonder what the weather conditions are going to be like for this 36 lap race. Well, clear skies, slight clouds, but way different compared to the qualifying we've just seen. So I do wonder if some drivers ran a wet setup or completely dry setup for this race, because there's no rain in sight right now. So it's going to be a full dry race, and if that's the case, then it's probably going to be a two-stop. I said probably. It's very, very likely that it's going to be a two-stop for everyone, because tire wear is very high around this track. Yesterday in Tier 1, I usually bring that up, I will do it again. It was a two-stop for everyone. I tried the one-stop with a few others, and I somehow made it work. But it was in deep puncture territory on the final few laps. And everyone else who tried the one-stop as well got a puncture on the final lap. So it's advised to not go for the one-stop unless you have insane tire management. But even then you will get into puncture territory on the final laps of your stint. So normally it is going to be a two-stop. Medium, hard, hard, medium, hard, medium. And probably 2 sets of hards would be the safest option. Hard, medium, hard, something like that. Anything is possible. All depends on the nature of the race. You never know what's going to happen. So you're just going to have to adapt to that if there's any safety cars early on. Or at the very end of the race, you want to have a tire set available. So we're seeing quite the variation between these drivers. I'd say it's a good 50-50 between who is on the mediums and who's on the hards. Definitely don't want to use the softs in the race around here, unless there's a very, very late safety car. Then you could be able to. You could just put them on if it's only like 5 laps till the end. But, generally, you want to avoid the softs. For the wet qualifying, they all still have a few soft sets. So if there is a final safety car in the end, and everyone does have a set of soft to put on. And the race should get going anytime now. So I'm excited to see who will have the better pace in race trim and in a dries compared to what we've just seen in qualifying. Way different circumstances. Tire management is going to be key tonight. Fuel management not so much, because it barely drains any fuel. In fact, you might even gain some fuel throughout the race, so you can definitely get away with running low fuel around this track. But I think it's time to go. It certainly is. Easy Game on pole position for his first ever Tier 3 race here at Brazil. Is round 2 of the season, the lights are out, and we're on the way for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Easy Game is going to lead off the line ahead of Lens and Worcester into turn 1. So a great start by the VCAP to remain in the leader race. Ahead of the McLaren and the Haas, all on the medium combo tire. That's a bit of a gap already towards Dark Assassin and Crimson Sonic. And someone's going up in the background. I think that's Froby in the McLaren. The two Ferraris have only gained 1 position from their starting position. Ahead of Godzilla in the Alpine, looking to have a go at Crimson Sonic. There's the Aston Martin of Balaboto making contact with Alpha Hype Wall. Into third form round goes the Aston Martin. Went up the inside, made contact, and Balaboton is sent to the back of the field down to P20. He goes, his teammate finding it out with the Mercedes of Shark. Now Harry up the inside as well. Harry on the hards. The Aston Martin on the medium. Should think that the Aston Martin should have the tire advantage, but Harry is still putting his nose in on the exit. Oh, very close for contact between those two. Now Harry up the inside for turn 10. Will turn to the outside line for turn 11. But he gets the job done and puts it ahead of the Aston Martin of next year. But at the front, it's Easy Game already with a 1.3 second lead at the end of the first lap. Certainly having the pace around here. He's on the mediums. Lennon's, I said it was on the mediums, but he's on the hards actually, so that might explain why Easy Game is able to pull away so easily. Was very close behind on the mediums. Dark Assassin is on the mediums as well. And there goes Godzilla up the inside of Crimson Sonic. Gets the position of the P5. Both of them on the hards. And then Alpha Hype Wall on the mediums, looking to have a go at Crimson Sonic as well. On the inside, on the run towards turn 4. As Twitch there is going to get ahead of Lennon's. Up at the P2 he goes. While Alpha Hype Wall gets past Crimson Sonic, and so does Ozan in the Red Bull. He is on the mediums as well. So Crimson Sonic drops down to P8. Just ahead of Jesus, also on the hards. And then it's Shark rounding out the top 10 on the mediums. So a great start for Ozan, up by 5 positions from his starting position. And the same can be said for Shark and Kai. And Zedix as well, they're all up 5. And Balaboton of course lost a lot of positions due to that incident in turn 4 with Alpha Hype Wall. And we saw Froby having a moment as well through the opening few turns on lap 1. As Easy Game fast up the race, but gets replaced by Twitch there. He is Lennon's drops down to P4 as Dark Assassin gets past. Also on the mediums. Lennon's knows that he will have the tire advantage in further stints, so there's no point fighting it out too hard on these laps. Harry gets ahead of Shark, and Harry's showing some good pace on the hards. And Jesus is going to get past Crimson Sonic. Two-time champion up to P8. Crimson Sonic falling behind just a little bit. As Overdue Bread gets ahead of next. There's a yellow flag out there once again in turn 4. It's Balaboton again in turn 4. He's gone around burning his tires while trying to drive away. So those rear tires are already screaming here on lap 3. Not ideal, as Easy Game has still got that 1.3 second lead, but it's not growing or shrinking. Twisteri stays around that window. Dark Assassin looks to have the pace though, and I think he's going to head ahead of Twisteri here with the help of DRS and Slipstream. Pulls to the inside, and the Ferrari's up to second place. And can now try and chase after Easy Game in the lead of this race. And potentially drag Twisteri and Lennon's with him in this DRS train. Oh, someone's going off in the background. I think that is Nexter. Yes, it is in the Aston Martin. Not a great race so far for the Aston Martin boys. Both having gone off, Bella Bolton picks up a 10-second time penalty in the pit lane for good measure. And then no surprise seeing him as the first retirement of this race. Unlucky with the incident on the opening lap, and then went off last lap as well. So Bella Bolton is out of the race. His teammate and went around in turn 1 as well. Might have hit the grass on entry in the braking zone, if we could have sent him spinning around, or he might have got help there. Did a bit of a push from behind. I didn't quite catch that. But it was quite hectic there through turn 1. And Dark Assassin, he's closed that gap. Bit of a moment though, coming out of turn 12. But he has got within DRS range. And he is dragging towards Terry, Lennons, Godzilla, Alpha Highball, Ozone, Jesus, all with him. And Crimsonic still within DRS range as well, but not for the upcoming straight. He's just dropped behind. And Zelix gets past Conor Beatty on the main straight. And the flag still out there for Bala Bolton's car. So you're not allowed to overtake into turn 4. Now you can. See, the flag has been removed as Jesus fighting it out with Ozon around the outside. Not going to work out there. He's going to have to try it at another place. Maybe on the exit though. Round the outside he goes. Beautiful move. And he does get the position. Not really a place where you should see an overtaking normally. But Jesus has pulled it off. And he is now up into 7th place. In the meantime, Harry is gone ahead of Crimsonic and is attempting to get back into DRS range to the top 8. It's one big DRS strain right now for the entire top, well, 18 is still within DRS range of each other. That is quite insane, but Twitch-Terry is dropping behind a little bit towards Dark Assassin, who has now fully closed the gap towards Easy Game. Everyone else still falling behind, and it's very difficult to overtake when you're in a DRS train like this. You're gonna have to try it in corners where you normally don't quite expect an overtake. And look how close the Ferrari is to the back of the RB. Not quite close enough to go for the move. Especially not through this corner where you get massive dirty air from the car ahead. You can end up the inside on turn 10, but we saw Lewis Hamilton do that back in 2019, taking out the Red Bull of Alex Albon. You have to be careful there to not hit around your opponent. As Dark Assassin now well within DRS range, and could we see a change of lead? And going on to lap 7, not the best exit out of turn 12. I think he's going to use this straight to close that gap and potentially go for it on the next hit, or is he going to try and go for it already up the inside of turn 1? Yes, we do. As Dark Assassin takes the lead of the race on lap 7. He again drops down to 2nd place. And now we're going to see these working together. Stop around with DRS. Dark Assassin is defending the inside line. Easy Game is going to have to go long around the outside into turn 4. Wheel to wheel we go for the race lead. Dark Assassin on the inside. Bit of contact between the two, but they've kept it clean on the exit of turn 5. We're going to try to go wheel to wheel towards turn 6. The Ferrari still just ahead of the RB, and Dark Assassin remains in the lead of the race. But what a fight we're already witnessing for the race lead between Dark Assassin and Easy Game so early on in the race. And the gloves are already off between these two. Twisteri patiently watching behind. taking his moment. Try and create an opportunity. Better exit this time for easy game. So it's gonna be an easy pass. As we go on to lap 8. Up the inside he goes. And Dark Assassin drops back down to second place as Lenon's trying to find a way past Twos Terry. On to lap 8, so the hards might actually already be the better tire compared to the mediums. The mediums only last around 10 to 12 laps, as Dark Assassin is going to retake the lead of this race, going into turn 4. And the Fry is back in front. Oh, going off track there is Twos Terry. Late on the brakes, a little bit too late on the brakes. Cost him some time, not a position. Stays in third place. We start to see some gaps forming in this field. Alpha Hype Wall is around 1 second behind the top 6. And Conor Reedy's forming a bit of a train behind him in P15. With Froby, Sly DJ and Sui back down in P18. Dark Assassin now with a comfortable lead of 7/10 towards each game, so he's going to stay in that lead going on to lap 9. As Twos Terry into the pit lane he goes, and so does Alpha Hype Wall. At the end of lap 9, at the end of lap 8 onto 9, so that's quite an early stop then for the medium runners. Normally want to go around lap 10-11, as he puts on a set of hards, so does Twos Terry. But they will come out in clean air. As Lennon has quickly closed that gap where Twos Terry originally was, but hasn't fallen out of the arrest rate. Harry has though in the Kick Sauber, 1.3 seconds towards Jesus. Jesus always a contender for the race win, even when you least expect it. Always have to keep an eye out on those final laps. We're still early on in this race, lap 9 of 36, 27 laps to go after this one. As both Dark Assassin continue on the mediums. And Jesus is going to get past Godzilla up to P4. Oh, Zahn has picked up a 10-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane, as Shark has as well. I think both of them have got a penalty. Yes, they do. Crimsonic with a 3-second time penalty for track limits there. Oh, this is very unfortunate then for Ozan and Shark. We're in point scoring positions. But they're going to have to serve that 10-second penalty at their second stop. Around lap 22-23 that will be. Which is going to cost them a lot of time. They do come out behind Alpha Hype Wall and Twos Terry. Twos Terry is closing that gap towards Nexer ahead. Does need to dispatch Aston Martin as quickly as possible though. Not lose too much time. And when our Dark Assassin and Easy Game gonna pull into the pit lane to swap around their mediums for a brand new set of hards. They're gonna stay out for another lap. We go on to lap 11. Lap 13 was the lap I pitted yesterday to make the one-stop work. But if you can stay out for another lap, as Conor Medium for the 10-second penalty as well for speeding the pit lane. And so does Nexer, a lot of penalties for speeding the pit lane tonight. Basically only Alpha Hype Wall and Twos Terry are the only ones who haven't got a penalty for speeding the pit lane. Which is quite mad. But if you can stay out till lap 14, 15, maybe even stretch it that far on the mediums, then you can definitely do a one-stop. But it's very difficult with the tire. Tire's not looking too bad, I must say, riding aboard with the Ferrari. So I do wonder if they are going to attempt the one-stop Dark Assassin into the pit lane, going on to lap 12, easy game, continues on his mediums. Let's see where the Ferrari drivers could come out compared to the likes of Twitch Termin and Alpha Woe, who have pitted 2 laps prior. There comes the Haas down the main straight, and he's already passed, and so is Alpha Hype Wall. So the undercut has worked. 3 lap tire advance actually, and he's going on to do a brand new set of mediums. A darker set going for a double stop, that's for sure, but he's going for medium hard. And he's gonna come out behind Ozan and right ahead of Shark. A net P4 with Twisteri in a virtual race lead. Easy game is definitely through his tires, losing out a lot of time and holding up the cars behind. So I won't be surprised if we see him pull into the pit lane at the end of this lap. No, he's actually going to continue on for the lap, and now Lennons is going to get past on the hards, and Jesus might do as well. Yes, he does. In the braking zone of turn 1, Jesus is going to send it on the inside of Lennons as well. Oh, contact between the two. So that was a late send there from Jesus. Tried to get his car alongside the McLaren. Contact in the apex of turn 1, and now Easy Game is going to try and get past him again, and he does. So Jesus drops down to P3. Was trying to go for the overtake. In the end, couldn't defend the position against Easy Game. And now Lennons is released into free air. So theoretically, Easy Game can go for the 1 stop. But he is going to have to do some tire management in his second stint. Because you can't go flat out and make it to the end. You can see the advantage that Lennons has on the tires, building a gap already of around 7-8 tenths of a second. And he is going to stay out 1 more lap at least. So I think that confirms that Easy Game is going to go for the 1 stop. Jesus isn't. He's into the pit lane from the hard, so is Crimsonic. No, so is Kai, and over to Brad, and over to Brad picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's the 5th driver to pick up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Dark Assassin, not a surprise to see him with the faster lap of the race. He has put on a random set of mediums. And so is Jesus, Kai, over to Brad, and Zedek, so they will go hard, medium hard. Jesus comes out behind Ozan and Shark, Alpha High Ball, Dark Assassin and Twooster who've already pitted in this race. Look at the gap, 4.5 seconds. And Twooster, he is 10 seconds behind Easy Game. That's the gap he's going to have to close when he pits for a second time. Although Easy Game pits, he is going to gain a lot of time, and he's continuing for another lap on those mediums. How is he not in puncture territory right now? On to lap 15 on these mediums. That is some crazy tire management from the RB driver. Lennons has pulled into the pit lane for a brand new set of mediums. And you can see the time going down between Easy Game and Twooster. And Lennons comes out behind Jesus by around 1.5 seconds, I think. 2 seconds almost ahead of his teammate though. He's got a big train behind him. If Conor Beatty has Kai, Slight DJ, Suin over to Brad. And then Zenix a little bit behind in the Mercedes. Just look at those tires, look at the front left. Look at the graining. Look how much he's sliding through turn 12. He cannot really even put the power down. Surely he's going to pull to the pit lane on this lap. Yes, he is. I'm surprised he made it without a puncture. Now on the braking zone, have to be careful, have to be careful, have to be careful. Oh! 10-second penalty as well, and so is Crimsonic. Half the field just gets a 10-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. And we still got a pit stop to go, lads. It's not your only pit stop. You have to do it one more time. let's be careful on the brakes going into the pit lane. But this is hard braking for AC Game, because this for sure has ruined his chances of winning this race. He comes out behind his teammate Haas Kai. In the meantime, Dark Assassin has got past Terry. He completely missed that. But he's now into the virtual race lead because Godzilla has still yet to pit on his hards. But we've got 7 drivers with a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which concerns me when we still have to do one more stop, apart from Easy Game and potentially Godzilla if he continues on for at least 6 more laps, which he doesn't. He's going to pull into the pit lane. Let's keep it under the speed limit, please. Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't. Another penalty. That's number 8. We should put a counter on the screen with how many 10-second penalties we're getting here. It's, as much as I hate it for these drivers, it's actually quite hilarious seeing how many drivers getting a 10-second penalty. I do say that while being extremely close to getting one myself yesterday. In Tier 1 was around, what was it in the end, 3 km/h off. Took some big risks into the pit lane, but yeah, man, crazy to see so many drivers making the same mistake here around Brazil. Look at this fight though, over to Brad with Zelix and Crimsonic, Sly DJ and Suey. Crimsonic gets past the Mercedes, as Easy Game on his brand new set of hards has made light work there of Froby. But you know, he might actually still be in the race for the win, you know, because towards the Dark Assassin, they still have to make a pit stop, and you know, there's a good chance they get a 10-second time penalty. Seeing the odds of this race so far, almost 50% of the drivers have picked up a penalty, so it's a 50-50 if these drivers get a penalty as well. Just gonna have to wait and see if that's gonna be the case. I hope not, for their sake. Alpha Ball gets past Shark. Jesus tries to get past as well, but round the outside will not work. And now Ozone is trying to find a way past as well on the exit. He's got double the tire life, but he is on the hards. The braking point shown on the racing line in the pit lane is quite late. Had the same issue during practice. I mean, I've noticed it on previous games as well. But some tracks you can brake when it tells you if you have a racing line on, and you're totally fine. But I think Brazil is one of the tracks where you have to brake earlier than the racing line suggests. So I think that is why all these drivers end up making the same mistake of braking just a little bit too late. But I would hope so that for their second pit stop they will not make the same mistake. Would hope that they learn from their mistakes. Let's see in a few laps time. Tuasteri and Dark Assassin in a league of their own at the moment at the front end. 2 seconds separating them. Then it's Alpha Highball and Shark and Jesus. Could make that Jesus and Shark. Are we going to go 3 wide? Jesus is going to try and go for a gap that nearly isn't there, but he finds it anyway. He goes round the outside as well. There are Shark through turn 1. The Mercedes stays just ahead. As Jesus taking some big risk there in this race, as he had to almost go off track to try and get past Alpha Highball, who did not give a lot of space, but Jesus found the gap regardless and squeezed his Williams past on the main straight. That was some bold stuff there by the two-time world champion, as Nexer is out of the race unfortunately as well. Both Aston Martins not scoring tonight in Tier 3. Both having spun around early on in this race, which has pretty much put them out of contention for any good result. So we're down to 18 drivers around the halfway point of this race. Dark Assassin in the lead of this race. And where he lost out last week was the on penalties. Got I think 6 seconds in the end. I knew he was going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I mentioned in qualifying that Jesus doesn't take any big risks, and then in this race I've seen him take big risk twice. Once on Lennon's into the braking zone of turn 1, and just last lap and down the main straight, down the finish line, almost getting his Williams off track. So clearly I've been mistaken. He does take big risks. But this overtake seems to be a safe one here with the rest of the inside. And he gets past the Mercedes and he's now up into a podium position. Yes, I don't believe everything I say. I think that's the main takeaway in this case. Dark Assassin now has built a gap of 3.2 seconds. He gained another second on Twisteri, and impressed by Twisteri. He showed some good pace. He won one of the pre-season races. I think it was Abu Dhabi or Barcelona. It's a 50-50, but might actually be Barcelona. Pretty sure it was, but yeah, shown some good pace in pre-season race. He missed last week at Melbourne, but he's bounced back. He shows some good pace and he's in the fight for the race win. Alpha High Wall was gonna have easy game up his inside through turn 1, bit of contact between the two, but nothing more than that. And the former race leader is now up into P5, who is going for the one stop. And Lennon's surprised to see him down here, but he made his pit stop quite late. He gets past Alpha Waldo up the inside. Almost expected Alpha Waldo just turn in there, as McLaren was not really alongside in the braking zone, but he gave him space, so fair enough to Alpha Wall. Which does mean that Lennon's has got past. He's on the mediums though, so he should be gaining these positions. He's in a DRS frame right now. Needs to get past them as soon as possible to not lose too much time and lose the advantage that he has on his tires. Must say the field is still pretty close to each other. There are some gaps, of course, especially between Frobby and Overdue Red, around 5 seconds, but we're still pretty much in the same sector. As Ozan is the first one to make his second pit stop. Look how careful he is in the braking zone. Sure, it was around 30 kilometers an hour under the speed limit there, but he was one of the drivers who picked up a 10-second penalty. So, and it's a long pit stop. You think 10 seconds? Yeah, not too much, but when you just stand there, see the cars driving past the pit lane, driving down the main straight, 10 seconds feel like an eternity. And he puts on a brand new set of hards to go to the end of the race. It's gonna have to be 14 laps. He only did 11 on his previous stint, so he's gonna have to do some tire management to actually make it to the end. Dark Assassin not really gaining time anymore on Twisteri, because his tires are slowly degrading. The mediums only go for around 10 to 12 laps or 15 laps when you're easy game. Still surprised that he managed to pull off that. And Dark Assassin into the pit lane, he will go. Oh, watch out! Yeah, just ram away the only indication that everyone had of the speed limit. As there goes the pit board. But no penalty. Dark Assassin into the pit lane, Twisteri as well. So the two race leaders both putting on a brand new set of hards. It's going to be a straight fight till the end, but they do have to catch Easy Game, who does have a 10-second time penalty there. A lot of drivers into the pit lane. Alpha and Cotina, it's double stack for Alpine. Shark, Connor Bippy, and Sui as well. And a lot of these drivers are serving their 10-second penalties. So Overly Brad, Crimsonic still have to pit with their 10-second penalties. Look how close they are to each other. As the Ferrari slightly hits the back there of the Haas, bit of a laggy moment there. It's a 3-second time penalty again for Ozan. He's not having the best race out there. But after all of that, Jesus into the lead of the race. Well, not for much longer, as he's going to pull into the pit lane and get a 10-second penalty. because the pit lane entry board has been destroyed on the previous lap by Dark Assassin. So Jesus, well, you wouldn't expect it from such an experienced driver, but he as well, unfortunately, makes the same mistake. And he has taken a big risk again on the entry of the pit lane. I couldn't be more wrong when I said that in qualifying, because he just has taken 3 big risks in this race, and 2 of them paid off. This final one certainly hasn't, because his chances for podium have been reduced to near enough 0. Unfortunate then for the 2-time world champion. Dark Assassin gets past Overdue Red. Zedix gets past Crimsonic, who has gone completely off track. Not sure what excursion he is making. Auditioning as a lawnmower, but Jesus is now right behind him and will look to find a way past as soon as possible. Ferrari, of course, is on very old mediums, 8 laps underneath the Ferrari. Easy game now, back into the lead of the race, and let's take a look at the gap. So, at the moment, Dark Assassin is 14 seconds behind. So he needs to gain 4 seconds as Overdue Brett picks up a 10-second penalty. Klaas. And retires from the race. Yeah, difficult one. But Jesus, Twisteri, he is 16 seconds behind, so he needs to gain 6 more seconds to get within that window as well. I don't think I've ever seen that many 10-second time penalties during a single race. I want to count them at the end of the race, but I'm not sure if I will remember to check the race director, or if I even have the time to do so. Anyway, it doesn't matter anyway, as Lennons, he is in 2nd place. He needs to make 1 more pit stop. I think he's going to do that on this lap. I would be right. Just brake early. And he does. Plays it very safe, like he should. Harry does the same thing. So, well done to both of them, picking up a 10-second time penalty. Which is a pretty unusual thing to say, because it should be the bare minimum to not pick up a penalty, but in this race it seems to be a difficulty. So, well done. They come out in P9 and P10 in clean air. Onto mediums for 10 more laps. And let's see where they are going to end up. As that is Kai up the inside of Crimsonic. Yellow flags are out there. Frobby has gone off through turn 6. I thought he might have a puncture, but he doesn't. So he might just hit the grass there in the entry of turn 6, which sent the McLaren around. He's been on these tires for 15 laps, so he would be struggling with tire wear and grip. So that could explain why he couldn't take control over his McLaren. But I would imagine he's going to go into the pit lane at the end of this lap, 15 laps. Which will become 16. Jesus now, he's at the back of Twisteri, and he's going to get past with ease. And Dark Assassin now, he's 10.8 seconds behind Easy Game. So 7 more 10s. And he is in the fight for the race win. Just doesn't need to pick up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Kai is closing in on Alpha Hype Wall. He's going to try and go for it up the inside. Contact between the two on the apex, and Alpha Hype Wall has been sent half around. And Kai lets him back through. Well, quite aggressively hard on the brakes there, but good sportsmanship, I must say, from Kai to give back that position. Recognizes his mistake. And Alpha Hype Wall back into P5, but he has lost a bit of time with that. Potentially towards Jesus, who has got a 10-second time penalty. Dark Assassin, he is now within 10 seconds. So he's on for his first win. With 8 laps to go, 9 laps to go. Of Corner BT has retired from this race on track, which is not what you want to see. And I have to note that down. But we're now down to 16 runners. Crimsonic into the pit lane as well for his final pit stop. And on to, well, after 10 seconds, we will go on to a set of mediums, I would assume. Softs, actually, for Crimsonic. Good luck making to the end on those tires. Meanwhile, his teammate, he's down to 9 seconds. So it's up to Toots Terry now to close that gap. He is 13 seconds behind. He should still be quicker. He's got a 7-lap tire advantage. And as long as he stays within the DRS range of Jesus, I think he's going to be able to make that work. Because Jesus is going to be quicker. Even though he only has 1-lap tire advantage, but he looks to be the quicker driver at the moment. Seems like Kai has found a way past Alpha Hype Wall to put himself up to P5. I must say, it's a good comeback drive. I'm not sure where Kai started. Yeah, P17 to P5. So a great comeback, must be said. But that 3-second time penalty is going to hurt him. Especially towards Alpha Hype Wall, who is staying within the DRS range for now. Zedex up the inside of Sly DJ. Finds a way past up to P12. So he's into the points playing positions. Lennon's in P7. Must say, pretty disappointing with the strategy. Although he's on mediums now, he's on new mediums, he should be faster, but the highest he is going to be getting is going to be P5. And he was in the fight for the race win earlier on, so did not quite get the strategy right there to fight for the race win until the end. Because I think he's going to be getting P5 at best, maybe P4 if he stays within 10 seconds of Jesus, which is currently sitting around 11 seconds. But I think he's going to miss out on the podium. Dark Assassin now well within 10 seconds, and I think Twitch Terry's on the brink of getting within that 10 seconds as well. 11 right now he is, so looks like it's going to be a P3 finish for Easy Game to what should have been an easy overwinning, an easy win. Sorry, my clutch came out there. It should have been an easy win for Easy Game, but due to that 10-second time penalty, he's going to be limited to probably a P3 finish. Although Twooster has now dropped out of the DRS range, or has he? No, he hasn't. 6 laps to go. Alpha Hype Wall is going to re-overtake Kai for P5. While Lennons is still closing the gap to those two. Two Red Bulls here in P10 and 11. Looking for a few points. Kai gets back ahead of Alpha Hype Wall. And here comes Ozan. A little bit too far back to go for the move. He has got a 3-second time penalty as well. With his teammate right behind him. On to lap 32 of 36 we go. 5 laps remaining in this Brazilian Grand Prix, and it's Easy Game in the lead of this race by 6.5 seconds towards Dark Assassin, 8.5 towards Jesus, and about 9.5 towards Twitch Terry. So Twitch Terry is now within 10 seconds of Easy Game and will be getting that second place if he doesn't pick up a 3-second time penalty. Shark still staying ahead of the Red Bulls, so he goes slightly wide through turn 1, which compromises his exit through turn 2 as well. Now he's dropped out of DRS range to his teammate. Four more laps, and Dark Assassin is gaining by around a second a lap towards easy game, which won't be enough to catch to the back of the RB. He will get pretty close, because those stars have seen better days underneath the RB. But with a star match through the first stint, he should be able to make it to the end on this second stint as well. Tire will be high though on these final few laps. He's gonna have to manage that. And yellow flags are out for someone. Oh, it might have been Dark Assassin. What's happened to Dark Assassin? He has fallen behind. Jesus. Was he that close to the Williams? Or did he make a mistake? He made a mistake. He was 5.5 seconds behind. Easy game. He now is 7.5 seconds behind, and he's got Twitch Terry for company. It might actually be a fight for the race win then. On these final 3 laps between Dark Assassin and Twitch Terry. The opportunity has come for the Haas driver, but if they fight too much, they might actually drop behind easy game out of the 15-second window. So they have to be careful. But Dark Assassin, with a mistake, with 3 laps to go, and now he's gonna have to contend with Twitch Terry, who is struggling to keep up at the moment. And Dark Assassin is gonna go back up the inside of Jesus into the braking zone off turn 4, and he's back ahead of the Williams, and should be safe right now because he has got a car in between himself and Twitch Terry. But Jesus, with the 1 lap tire advantage, might be able to stay close and re-overtake on the next DRS straight. But what a crucial mistake that could have been for Dark Assassin. Well, it's not over yet though, because Twitch Terry is certainly there. And Jesus, with the DRS and slipstream, might be able to get past on this straight. So we will go on to the penultimate lap of this race. Jesus, is he going to pull to the outside, or is he going to stay behind? He's going to stay behind for now. He is not going to overtake. And I'm surprised to see that for a man with a 10-second time penalty. But he's going to get past on the second straight, round the outside into turn 4, and Jesus is ahead of Dark Assassin. So that means he does not have a car between himself and Twitch Terry, but it does mean that he will have DRS going on to the final lap. But is that going to be enough? Is Jesus going to be able to build a gap of a second in this middle sector? He does seem to be quite quick, and Dark Assassin seems to be struggling on tyre wear. But still stays within the DRS range, 0.8 of a second. But look how close Twitch Terry is, 0.4 behind. On the exit, is he going to have DRS? Ooh, that was very close. Does the Ferrari have DRS? No, he does not. He's deploying everything on his battery. He's now back within DRS range as we go into the final lap of this race. Easy game leads, but he has a 10-second time penalty. And so does Jesus. So it's between Dark Assassin and Twitch Terry for the race win on lap 36 of this Brazilian Grand Prix. If Dark Assassin falls out of DRS range on this final lap, then Twitch Terry has a real shot of winning this race. But as long as the Ferrari stays within DRS range, he should be safe. He cannot afford to make a mistake though. In this final part of this race, gap is almost 0.8 of a second. He needs to get a good exit out of turn 11, out of turn 12, and out of turn 13. Toursteri seems to be a little bit too far behind to put the first win of Dark Assassin under any real threat. He's out of the arrest range again, but I think he's going to do just enough. Easy Game is going to cross the line first here at Brazil, but he's got a 10-second penalty. Jesus crossed the line second, but he's got a 10-second time penalty, which means that Dark Assassin is going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix by 6/10 ahead of Toursteri. He got a little bit too close that he would have liked for the Ferrari driver in the end, after making a mistake on the 3 laps till the end. But he didn't crumble on those final 3 laps and has pulled off a great drive to secure that victory. Dark Assassin is your race winner here at Brazil. His first win in Tier 3. Toursteri settles for second ahead of Easy Game in P3. Jesus in P4, Alpha Ball, Kai, Lennons, Harry, Shark and Sui rounds off the top 10. Froby and Ozone get the final 2 points. ZX in P13, Sly DJ in 14th, Godzilla in P15, and now we wait for Crimsonic to cross the line on his dead soft tires. As he is going to weave across the line, have to be careful not to crash out there, which he absolutely does. So might as well finish backwards in style. But man, what a Brazilian Grand Prix that was. Looked to be an easy victory for Easy Game until he got that 10-second time penalty. And after that, there was a straight fight between Dark Assassin and Toursteri, but the Ferrari driver came out on top. So well done to him, and certainly a great drive, despite the mistake. He had delivered under pressure to his first win of the season. As driver of the day goes towards Kai, from 17th to P6. Dark Assassin with 26 points, as he's got the fastest lap of the race as well. $14S of Konabeti over the bread, Nixer and Balaboton. Do want to see though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 10-second time penalties in this race. Wow, that must be a record. But that's the end then of this race. Another great race to watch. Entertaining as per usual. And well done to Dark Assassin and Ferrari, your winners of round 2 of the season. Highlights will be out tomorrow, somewhere in the afternoon. So I'll make sure to check that out as well when I upload it. Next week we return for round 3 of the season, and it will be at Singapore, a very tricky street circuit. Especially difficult in the rain, and given it has rained for the opening 2 rounds, although not in a race, in qualifying, might turn out to be another great race as well next week, so stay tuned for that. But that's for me tonight. Thank you all for tuning into the stream. Have a good evening, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.